Hey guys, it's Joshua David here. Happy Sunday. I told you I'd come on here and do a testimony. Like I said, I have done a testimony before, but I wanted to go in a bit more detail. So this video might be a little long, but I think what I have to say needs to be said. So I just want to say what the Lord has done for me is so extraordinary. It's beyond measure. There's going to be things that I'm going to say, and I know I'm going to leave out a bunch of stuff because the Lord has delivered me from so much sin. And, I just want you to know, if you think you're in a bad situation, I don't care what you did. If you truly repent and give your life to Jesus, He is going to save you too. And I want you to be encouraged on that, because the Lord's coming back soon, and there is no more time. There's no more time. You guys have to get right with the Lord today. The day of salvation is today. So basically, I grew up in a Christian home, so to say. My grandma was very Christian. That was my dad's mom. But my dad, he was a loving dad, but he was a hard dad. It was, my mom has cerebral palsy, and between the two of them, they had myself, two other brothers, and a sister. So it was 3 boys and a girl. And basically, my dad was a truck driver, so my mom had to take care of us most of the time. So my mom, who can barely walk, took care of 3 boys and a girl, and we didn't make it easy on her. So God bless them first, for how they raised us, because I guess some of this information they were telling us when we were younger stuck. But it didn't for a long time. I had my older brother Nathan, who was mad at the world from a young age, and then taught me how to be mad at the world from a young age. And what that entailed is, my parents were trying to get us to be on the straight and narrow, but there's only so much my mom could do to us boys when we were young, because we lived in a bad area. We wanted to do whatever we wanted to do, and we were childish about it too. Like, it started off with smoking cigarettes at 10 years old, and rolling cigarettes from my dad and stealing from my dad, smoking and downstairs. And, I know a lot of people did that. That's pretty common really at that age. Well, maybe not that age, but, when you're a kid, right? And that's how it started. But, we moved a lot, and, throughout the years, we would have so many different new friends, and all we wanted to do is kind of, be involved with a friend group. Then we'd move once we got settled, and kind of so on and so forth. We just had to keep recycling our friends, and it turned out where, we moved to West Kelowna, Rutland, and started stealing. We didn't have a lot of money, and we always kind of wanted stuff, so we stole whatever we can, and that continued for a very long time. I didn't have a job for many years, and we just stole what we wanted to get. Just steal, rob. And I'm not proud of any of this, by the way. And then we started, smoking some weed. I remember my brother came home, and he had an oil paper on a cigarette. And I was 11, I think, and I said, give me some of that. And I smoked some of it, and I didn't know what it was really. And, I got so high that I was scared to go home, and I was just 11 years old. And, from there on in, I just was hooked on feeling different. It made me feel different. It wasn't something that was super pleasurable, but it made me feel different. So I continued that, and, just continued on smoking weed for a couple of years. It didn't take long till my brother started getting into the cocaine and the crack. And whatever my brother did, I was kind of right behind him. You know, a year or two later, I was there, right? And we kind of had similar friends, so, you know, I was kind of welcomed into their group, and he's 3 years older than me. So I was welcomed into his friend group at a young age. And kind of anything went, you know. I always wanted to try to be older than I was, try to be more cooler than I really was. So I tried all that stuff at a super young age. And, you know, it started with cocaine. Started with drinking. Well, smoking pot, then drinking like crazy. Basically everything under the sun. You know, and we continued to do that. And that was something we did every weekend for a little while. And then once we hit around 14, 15, or at least myself, 14, 15 years old, I started doing it every day, smoking pot every day, drinking every day. And that's why, you know, I have 3 young kids right now. And I try to tell them to stay away from that kind of stuff because, yes, weed seems innocent, but for one, under God, it's not. And I keep telling them, you know, weed keeps you where you are. You never progress. So if you're a weed smoker, look at what you're doing. I bet you haven't progressed from where you started from a very long time. And but anyways, so that continued on for, you know, forever. But I met my wife after having a couple girlfriends. You know, I met her when I was 17. Well, actually, I'm jumping the gun here. Actually, when I was 12 years old. Sorry, I have to go back a little bit. I was 12 years old, and I ran away from home. And I continued to do that for a while. So at a very young age, the cops were involved in my life. And I got caught stealing. Cops were involved. I did a bunch of probation work for a while there, but eventually the judge, because I have to keep going back, he had to give me some kind of time. But he didn't at first. He gave me boot camp. And I went to a boot camp for 6 months. I think it was at 12 or 13. And did my thing there. And also after that, I got out. Didn't change anything. Went to another boot camp. My friends were a little older by then, you know, at 13, 14 years old. Started, you know, doing cocaine. And after that, stealing to get money for the cocaine and the drinking, right? Because I just wanted to be with my friends and hang out. My life was pretty boring at my mom's house, which I would appreciate now if I kind of knew life back then, but I didn't. And just continued doing that for a while. And then I went to jail so many times, like actual jail, since I was 13 years old, all the way up till I was about 27, 25, 26 or something. Anyways, I didn't spend much time out of jail. It was like as soon as I went into jail, I'd come back out and be good for a couple weeks and then, you know, get right back into what I was doing, steal, rob. You know, I went to a big jail, or did a lot of time in jail when I bear sprayed a few people in a car one time. And, you know, that really got me in trouble. I think I did 8 months that time. And another time I actually went into a liquor store. My brother had a puppy that I wanted my girlfriend to have, and he wanted liquor for it. So I went into a liquor store and I grabbed a bottle, tried to walk out with it, and they grabbed me, and I fought with them. And I'm not proud of this, but I did it, and I turned around and I hit them with it, and it smashed everywhere, and there was blood everywhere, and I ran away, and I got caught. I did about a year off that one in jail. Actually, I think I got 18 months, but I think I did 13 months or something. But, you know, I thought, you know, it would all work itself out after that, and I would be better now. But I had good intentions every time I got out, but I continued on. But when I got out of that one, when I did my 13 months, I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We've been together now for 17 years. Only married for 3. But so when I got out at that point, that's when things really started picking up for me for drinking and doing drugs. Me and my girlfriend, we went to the mall almost every day, and we stole jackets and clothing and sold it. And we used to do that every day, probably get, $1,000 to $2,000 worth of clothing and sell it to get money for drugs and alcohol. And we were stuck in that trap for a very long time, doing it every day. And if we didn't have it, we'd have to go out and steal to get it. And it was just an ongoing circle. So what I'm about to tell you coming up here is pretty bad. So I had my first daughter, and I thought, okay, well, this has got to be it, I'm going to have to change my life now, and I had very good intentions to do so, but it just didn't really do what I thought it would do. And I've always been a pretty good dad. I hid a lot of stuff from my oldest daughter was very young. I had another daughter after that, only 10 months apart. And me and my girlfriend, we weren't doing as much drugs, but we were drinking all the time. And on weekends, we would do, cocaine when we drank, and just party lifestyle for a while there. And, I finally got a job. It took me a while to get one, and I went through a few of them and this and that. And, but I thought that I would do better after my first kid. I didn't. I thought I'd do better after my second kid. I didn't. I thought I'd do better after my third kid. I didn't. I was a wreck. In that time period, I was swearing like crazy. Like, I was a total thug, you guys. A total thug, out of control problem. At one point, they wanted to deem me a violent offender because of all the fights I got in. And they wanted to lock me up until I went through some serious counseling, and I was going to take years and years and years just for, it doesn't matter what I did, they were going to deem me a violent offender. And still didn't get through to me. Like, I was just on a rampage for years and years and years. Like, when you think of a criminal, you're looking at him. I was the epitome of a criminal. I had a criminal lifestyle, and I did nothing with my life for a very long time. Eventually I got a job, learned how to paint and all that, but I worked for people, and I still, after that, every time I got paid, we'd spend half our money on, drinking and doing drugs and all that. I would look at pornography all the time and get stuck in that. I would gamble, the other half of the check away all the time. And it'd be a rough circle. We wouldn't pay our rent, and we would jump from house to house to house. I laugh now because I just look back on it, and I don't know who I was, But what it was my flesh. Me giving into my flesh. Giving into the devil. Evil. But, one of the biggest things that I had to deal with was anger. I was angry all the time. All the time. Like, I wouldn't, beat my kids or nothing like that. They were girls. I didn't even spank them. But a lot of times I would get angry over little things and yell at them. And, and it hurt our relationship for a very long time. And, he delivered me from all that. Finally, after, I sold drugs for a long time. I went to jail for that too. I had guns drawn on me and my girlfriend, at a bar one time. And had about 7 or 8 cops with all their guns drawn at me. I had, a key of cocaine underneath the truck seat. It was pretty nasty. Went to jail for that when I think my daughter was 3 years old. And then, got out, and I started doing better at my work. So I was actually turned out to be a really good painter. And I got a raise, and, I got a good position. But my lifestyle didn't change. My work ethic did, because I was proud of what I was doing. I wasn't stealing anymore, But my lifestyle was still a wreck. I was still doing drugs. Continuously, drinking continuously. I just kept it together. I don't even know how I did it. But, looking at pornography, being angry all the time, gambling, swearing, lying about everything, just jumping house to house. And I had a lot of old friends who I grew up with who were all drug dealers, every single one of them. And that's kind of, I grew up with the bad people. And even till this day, a couple of them are still selling drugs. So I would get good deals from them. So I would, and they block away from my house, and it was really hard to get off of. But I did so much cocaine the last time that I was doing it that, like, I OD'd. And I don't know if you know this or not, but it's really hard to overdose on cocaine. Like, I never stuck a needle in my arm at all, nothing like that. But I was doing that cocaine for a while. So I remember so many times asking the Lord, please deliver me, from this, and I'll never touch it again, and when I felt better, I would go back to it, Eventually that kind of simmered down a bit and got into heroin, and that kind of kicked us over the edge. My wife too. It didn't start with heroin. We started with pills, Percocets, and we moved up to all these Oxycontins, and it just kept going and going and going and going until, I had a lot of money. I was doing side jobs, while I was working too. So I had a ton of money all the time. Also flipping pills too, it got me money, and I just kept on doing it, It was a huge expense. And then my work started to fail. So I didn't have as much money, but I still had a huge, huge addiction to opiates. And doing heroin, not as much as pills, but still doing it. Doing whatever I can to actually not be sick, and that's the lifestyle that I had to live there for a long time. I remember one night I went into my bed and I was so sick and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I looked back at my life, I was under so much pressure, so much stress. My work was failing. We had to move. Everything was going wrong. I hit rock bottom, like rock bottom. I remember I was thinking about suicide and how easy it would be because I just can't get my crap together, and, continuously thinking, like, I'm hurting everybody around me, and I think it's just better off if I just were to kill myself, and you know what I mean? Like, I just always kept screwing up. I always kept screwing over the people that were close to me. And I was bringing my wife down with me, and my kids were involved, and it was just a nightmare. Like, it was a living nightmare, And so I went in I didn't try an attempt, but I went in the shower, and that's when I was really thinking about it. And I started shivering like crazy, and, just like, I thought I was going to have an anxiety attack, and my heart was going like crazy. And I just thought, this is it, because I had a panic attack, and it was so bad that I thought I was going to keel over there. I was sick off heroin, but I was high on cocaine, and, so much of it. I used to do big lines and just, like, get in India, it was just terrible. Like, I'm telling you guys, my life that I was living was the biggest sinful life of anybody that I know. And I hid a lot of it too. So, I mean, most people didn't even have the whole idea except for my wife. But at that moment, in the shower, I asked the Lord. I said, Lord, if you're real, I need you to help me. Because if you don't help me, I'm not going to be here much longer. And my brother was doing the same thing, and it's funny. I used to look up to my brother all these years, and I think he now looks up to me, considering he works for me now and stuff like that. But and he stopped too after the Lord delivered me. But one day I woke up and I'm like, no, that's it. So I went to the doctor. This is something I just don't do, have the will to go do these things. Went to the doctor. I never went to the doctor my whole life, basically, unless I absolutely had to. But I went to the doctor. They said I can get on a program for opiates. I did that. And normally, you'd think my lifestyle, I'd just go right back to things, once I had some money. That's how it was, right? But no, I kept on the straight and narrow. I was reading my Bible. I was praying. I was asking for deliverance. And the thing about God, you guys, is that he was waiting for me the whole time. The whole time. My dad used to read me scriptures at the dining room table that I used to roll my eyes at. And it's that kind of thing right there that I remember. And my grandma, who has died, and I remember her always talking about Jesus. And it's just the little things, and it just clicked for me. It just clicked. I just gave my life to Jesus right there in the shower, and everything got better. Slowly but surely, everything got better. I had a business at the time, but it was basically almost in the ground of what I've done to it. But since then, okay, now I want to tell you what the Lord has done for me now. Since then, the Lord has delivered me from all drugs and alcohol. I don't do any. He has delivered me from anger. That's the biggest thing. Anger. I was so angry at everything. I got people commenting on my stuff. I couldn't get angry if I tried, I've gotten upset before and, of other situations, but nothing like I was, right? Like it's pornography, all 100% completely done. Don't look at it all. Haven't since. My job has gotten so much better. Like I employ now 5 people. We do big commercial painting jobs. We do lots of residential. And, we're doing a lot better. I had a bunch of debt from before that we're still trying to clear off, but God has given me the opportunity to do so. So that is fantastic, and what else? My marriage is 100% phenomenal. He's delivered my wife as well. My wife doesn't do anything like that anymore. She had a huge problem, that I maybe don't want to get into here, but same thing basically, right? And we used to lie to each other all the time, and it was a nasty marriage. I look back on it thinking, I don't even know how we survived. It must have been God. God appointed us together, and he knows that we're supposed to be together. And we fixed our lives together. And I am just 2,000-3,000% different than I was. I look back on my old life and say, I must have been possessed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I must have been possessed because the way I was living was just absolutely crazy. But the Lord has come into my life. He's replaced the things that I used to urge for. I used to urge for drugs. Well, now I urged for the word, I used to urge for alcohol. Well, now I urge to pray, or now I urge to have time with my family, or, help people out, give money to people, stuff like that. And just live my life. He's blessed me so much since then. I got a nice truck. My wife's got a nice truck. I got a couple vans and another truck for my business. We live in a decent house with a bit of land, and that happened all within a few years. Recently, the last couple years, but I'm just shocked when I look back on it, And I know that you guys, or whoever, not all of you, but the people who think that, man, I've done so much stuff, there's no way that the Lord is going to, deliver me from this stuff. Well, you have to give a little to get a lot. You just have to say those words and believe them and say, Lord Jesus, I need you in my life because I cannot control it anymore. I cannot control my flesh. I want my flesh to die off so I can walk in the Spirit and start doing better with my life. As soon as I did that, you guys, bang, just like that. The Lord was already there. He already had the plan for me. He already knew at that appointed time that I was going to come to him, and say, he's probably excited saying, now's the time for Josh, because he's probably watched me destroy myself my whole life, and now he says, Josh is ready, Josh is ready. You know, I went from Josh, and you know, a lot of people call me Joshua now, and I mean, you know, it makes a difference to me because it's like I'm a new person. You know, I call myself Joshua. My middle name is David. My last name, you know, is Lance, but I don't on my videos and stuff, I call myself Joshua David because it's a powerful name. You know, I'm a new me. And yes, I'm not perfect. I'm not walking on this earth blameless, you know. I'm not. And this is the one guy saying, you know, like, you have to be absolutely perfect. And it's like, you know what? We're still sinners, guys. We're all sinners. That's why the Lord died on the cross for us. If he did that, he means he loves you. And he wants you to come to him. He wants you to acknowledge him and put his name on high. And that's why it's so important for you guys to get your testimony in order and tell people about it. Because I know I'm not the oddball out. I know that this world is a sinning world. And I know that you guys have a story. And I know that it's going to help some other people. And I hope and pray that my story helps you. Because I was down in the dumps, ready to kill myself in an overdose. And I'm here talking to you guys now, telling you about how much I love Jesus and how much he has done for me. You know, it's super important to tell your testimony. The Lord wants you to tell your testimony. You know? So, it ain't too late for you. It ain't too late for someone that you know that is having a hard time. You know? If there's somebody that you know out there who's a total wreck, I want you to send them this video and say, Josh went to the Lord and this is what he did for him. And you know what, guys? It was overnight, basically. Just like that. It was just like I gave my life to the Lord. The next morning I woke up. I didn't have the urges that I did. You know, I had shame. I had shame right there. And I seen the sin for what it was. You know what I mean? Before I didn't think it was sin. It's my life. I'll do what I want with it. You know? But now I look at it and I say, wow, like that's sinning. You know, that's some serious sin right there. And I know and can acknowledge it when I see it. You know, that's the difference. When you walk in the Spirit, you can see the sin. Your mind acknowledges the sin before you don't. That's the problem. You know? But anyways, guys, God bless you. I hope and pray that, you know, if you find somebody that, or you know, you have a brother, sister, father, mother, whoever it is, send them this video and tell them God is at the door waiting for you. He's knocking. But it's up to you to give your life to Jesus. And you know what? To see the transformation is amazing. Is amazing. Yes, you could be down in the dumps. Yes, you might think you don't have hope. But Jesus is there waiting for you. And it's not a joke, you know. That's the thing. It's like we don't have any time left. I don't think you guys realize how soon the Lord is coming. He is coming sooner than we all think. It says in the Bible when Jesus is coming. It says when you least expect it. Or when you expect not. That's what it says. The Lord will come when you expect not. You probably don't expect the Lord to come, do you? No. Anyways. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I got another episode of Newborn Truth. But that's my testimony, you guys. And I hope you get, you know, some... hope it encourages you guys or encourages someone else out there. And it's never too late for you, man. It's never too late for you. The Lord is waiting. He loves you. All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.